Okay, we're rolling.
Everybody, welcome back to the How to Podcast series, the podcast where we get to talk to great podcasters as my guest co-host. And it's really exciting to have a chance to sit down with people who are doing things and enjoying podcasting, using it to connect with people, grow business, and share great stories. And Michael's here with me. What I love, we're going to get into this, is go to Michael's podcast, Uncommon Leadership. You're going to love it. It's great. And I want you to look at the artwork. We're going to get into that when we get into the conversation. But look at how Michael does his artwork. And you might want to steal the idea because it's great. Michael, welcome to the show. Welcome to How to Podcast series.
Thank you, Dave. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. All right. Michael, tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours. Come on.
I'm in Columbia, Missouri, in the middle of the United States.
Your podcast is connected to what you do in your business as well. But tell us about your show, Uncommon Leadership. When did the podcast start?
I started this 3 years ago, almost to the day. It was
Really?
November-ish.
Good.
Yep. Coming up on, recorded my 100th episode, released about
Come on,
80.
wait a minute. Don't let that go by. Hello, 100.
I know.
Good job.
I was a little taken aback when I realized I was getting there.
Congrats. Wow. That
And
feels
for
good.
that one, I did a microverse. So I found someone that I really respect and said, "Hey, would
Nice.
you come and reverse mic on my show?"
Great
And it
idea.
turned out he was a journalism major in college and never did journalism as a profession, and journalism itself. So he said, "This is great. I get to do all the journalism things that I haven't done."
And he could interview you. That's a great idea, right? Sometimes when we do podcasts, it's like, do I really want to talk about myself by myself? Doesn't that feel a little bit, I don't know, weird? Just to sit here and say, look how great I am. Look at me. You know, it's to have somebody else ask you the questions. That's a good, I like that. You called it, would you call it a mic reversal? Is that what you called it?
Microverse, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I never know what to talk about.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just doing it on my own. So here it was having someone else ask me questions, then I had all sorts of things to say. Whereas if I had just tried to do this on my own, I'd have no idea
Yeah.
what to say. So now I think I'm going to do this every 20 or so episodes, is I'll
Nice.
just take my favorite guests from the last while and ask them to do a microverse.
That's a great idea. And you get to have them back too. That's good.
And then I get to have them back on the other side, and we both get to have fun. Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's a great idea. Okay, now we kind of touched on this before we got started here at the beginning. Your artwork for your show. I love how you do your artwork. It's for those that are listening, when you go to Michael's podcast, you have to check it out. But there's kind of like, if you're listening, you can picture this. Michael's kind of like half of a Michael on the left, and your guest is half of the guest on the right of the image. Words down the middle, and it's black and white for both you and your guest, which I love, because then it's common. But there's just enough of the two of you on the artwork to go, oh, okay, I got this. It's very unique. I when I talk to podcasters, Michael, they don't know how to do the artwork for the episode, because it's like me, like my big face on the middle of the artwork, and then I don't know where to put the words. I love how you formatted this. So share a little bit more, and we'll have a link to your podcast because everyone has to go listen anyway. But share a little bit more about the idea behind having you and your guests not be like the whole image on the artwork. It's a great idea.
So that came from a couple things. One is I wanted equality between my guest and me.
Yeah.
And for me, everything has to be simple. So if it's complex, it's just not going to happen.
No.
And also, for me, I always want a little bit of bling and a little bit of whimsy and a little bit of weird. So this got me all three. It works well for solo guests. One time I had two people on,
Oh.
and that one, I wasn't sure how to do that one. I kind of overlaid them on each other and tried to do the same like half thing. One was half behind the other one, and it worked okay. It was good enough, so it was fine.
It's really interesting. I like the colors too. Like, what color would you call your artwork, the background there? kind of a
Oh,
mauve,
what?
purplish, lavender. I don't know what color I would call that.
Um, yes, that was a lavender. I was trying to.
Lavender. Yeah, it's nice.
I worked with a local brand, a local design company to come up with my brand colors and
Yeah.
logos for my company and for the podcast. And so they
Yeah.
gave me, that's how I know the name of that color is because they told me the names.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I'm like, my wife will tell me colors, and I'm like, so it's a purple? She's like, no, it's not purple. It's like lilac. And I'm like, okay, so purple, like light purple or dark purple? There's three: purple, dark, or light purple. That's the three. And she's like, oh, you're so frustrating. So yeah, I learn a
Yeah,
lot. Right.
I see all the different ranges of colors.
Yeah.
And if I go to a book or a paint sample or something that has 2,000 different greens and they each
Yeah.
have names, then I can say, okay, this makes sense. That name makes
Yeah.
sense. That one I don't get, but okay.
Yeah.
If you showed me a color other than the primaries and the mixtures of the primaries and asked me to name it, then like, well, that's a
Yeah.
yellowish green. I don't think it's a green yellow. There's more yellow than green, or more green than yellow, so it's a yellowish green.
I like when somebody comes across a good artwork design for their podcast. I think that's something we don't talk about enough, and that it ties in also with what you do with your business as well. Like if you go to one podcast and it's like bright neon colors, and then you go to their website or whatever and it's really calm, peaceful colors. It's like these. Is this the same show? Is this the same Michael? Like, because it doesn't match, right? And your podcast and your website, they go together really well. So I like that you have that.
Thank you. I work hard at this, and that is one succinct way to describe the work I do with my clients is in business so often it tells us and or we think that we have to be not the way we are in all the rest of our life.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be logical and objective and cold-hearted if we even bring our heart in at all, which we probably don't. But Dave, it turns out that at least I don't know how to, and I've never found anyone else that knows how to leave our heart and body and spirit behind at the door
Right.
when we, alongside our coat and lunchbox and hat and an umbrella. So they're always there. And if we try to ignore them, they make themselves known,
Yeah.
often in embarrassing ways and in inopportune times.
Right. Yeah. Great. So tell me more about who you think your audience is for your podcast. Who are you trying to reach, so that we can, as listeners, we can connect with you as well.
I am primarily talking with leaders in tech,
Okay.
and this is people in official leadership positions like chief technology officers, heads of engineering, architects, also people who are leaders without having a title that says I am a leader. So these are a person on your team that you always go to for a code review because you know that they're going to give you really helpful feedback. Or the person who sits in an office or a cube next to you but is on a completely different team, that you always value their opinion because they just tell you smart things and they help you figure out a better way to do things, whether that's in your code or your design or in other parts of your life.
Good. Awesome. Yeah.
And it turns out that we're all always leading ourselves, even if we don't realize that we're leading anyone else. So we're all leaders.
That's good. So let's talk a little bit about your podcast, how it's grown over 100+ episodes. How have you changed as far as how you do your interviews, maybe how you connect with your guests? How have you seen yourself grow over the last 100+ episodes?
I had an idea what I wanted from the podcast from the start, and that central theme is still holds true. The structure that I use has gotten more firm.
Yeah.
I started with offering guests a selection of starter questions, and then the conversation went from there for however long it did. And it didn't take long for me to realize I wanted a little more structure And that there were topics I wanted to cover every episode that we didn't necessarily get to because I got lost in the conversation.
Mm.
So I went through and looked at all the episodes I've done so far, and 98% of guests always chose the same question. And I really liked that question. So that's the starter question I always use now. And then I have 3 questions that come after that I always get to. It's still a conversation. It's not, I ask you a question, you give me an answer, and I go on to a different question.
Yeah.
Subsequent questions get woven in to the conversation. That's working really well. And these questions are, the first question is, so Dave, when did you first realize
I'm on your show right now. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's go. All right. I'm ready.
When did you first realize that integrating your whole self into everything that you do might be a valuable approach?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Wow. Okay. Well, I got to know first, what's the origin of that question come from? Like, why did you pick that one?
This is what I do. I help you understand who you are and how to bring that in to everything that you do in a way that is safe for you and for everyone else. And this doesn't mean that you have to bring every single thing that you are into every single thing that you do. Maybe you don't want to bring your love of iguana flavored tacos to work. Like, that's perfectly fine. But I do want you to feel that you could bring that in if you want to. And there is a way that you can do that and still feel safe, and for everyone else to still feel safe as well. Even if they're all iguana-loving vegetarians, they would be horrified that you're having an iguana taco, or even an iguana-flavored taco, even if it's entirely plant-based. And these aren't always obvious. And like, this is a goofy example, but there's all sorts of more serious examples of it. Can be tricky. How do I bring in that I'm this romantic preference or this religious belief or this political belief or this read this kind of books or listen to these kind of podcasts?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not cool where I work to listen to business podcasts. I have to listen to Car Talk and Fix It podcasts. There's always ways to bring the parts that we want in and be safe.
I like that. That's good. Have you had any interesting responses from guests to that question, the first question, to make you go, wow, I wasn't expecting that?
Every answer is very different.
Yeah.
One of my first guests talked about when they were a camp counselor when they were young and helping one particular camper learn how to sail, who was struggling for all sorts of reasons. Others talk about business experiences that they've had. Others talk about experiences when they're really tiny or often some adventure travel. It's all over the place. And one of you asked about the points of the podcast.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always wanted to show from the start is that wherever you are in your journey, whether you're just starting out or super expert, you're doing great. You're exactly where you want to be, exactly where you need to be. And you're still going to screw up all the time. And that's fine. That's part of the process. So even if you're just realizing, hey, people are looking at me to lead and I don't know what I'm doing, or I think I could be a really good leader and I'm not sure how to start, you're already doing great just by asking that question. And even people like you and me who have been on our journeys for a while, we still screw up every single day. And it's cool. No big deal.
Yeah.
And I always love stories because story helps us feel into someone else's experience and bring their experience into our experience so that we can leverage the learning that they've had without having to go through all that stuff ourselves.
I think, yeah, storytelling is an art that takes time to learn and practice. I love a great storyteller because you don't even realize you're learning something in the moment. You're just listening to a story, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now I see why you're telling me the story. Now I see the result. And then you remember it. You go and tell somebody when you hear a great story. When you hear 5 ways to sleep better, you're like, I might remember all 5 ways, but if you put it in the context of a story, I can be like, oh, Michael, I heard this thing about sleeping better. Here's what I heard. Here's the story I heard. And you can basically retell a story better than you can list off 5 points off the top of your head. So, yeah, anyone listening, as you build your podcast, try somehow to tell stories. I try to encourage my guests when they come on to not just talk in facts and stats and figures, but put a story behind it. Tell me about how this showed up for you and how you navigated what you're trying to explain from your own personal story. Because then as people are telling stories, listeners are putting themselves into the moment and going, well, in my world, this is how it would happen. But as I listen to Michael tell his story, I can see myself in the conversation. I think that's super powerful. So anytime you can leverage a story, develop that. That's really, really important.
I think that everything that we do, we are trying to tell a story, and we just don't always realize that.
Right.
And we don't often know the right way to tell that story in that context. So even if we're rattling off rows and rows of numbers and data, there's still a way to turn that into a story.
I like a story, Michael, that focuses on the person that's listening more than the person telling the story, right? So when a person can communicate to me in a way that connects with me, I feel more connected to the story rather than, here's a story about me. It's all about me. Me. My story. Done. And as a listener, I'm like, well, good for you, I guess. But when you can make me feel connected, right? I love a story that's focused on the listener. That's something that I really try to, it's not easy, but it's something I try to put into place wherever I can. Yeah, I can rattle off a story about the time I fell off my bike and the audience goes, and what do you want me to do with the story? Dave, I don't know what you want me to do. But if I can turn it in a way that goes, oh, wait a minute. Okay. So an example I did on my show, on my Dad Space podcast, Michael, you might like this. I talked about how to catch a monkey on my dad podcast. And it's like, what? Like, how many of us need to catch a monkey ever? Probably not very often. But I gave you the actual, a great way to do it. And basically simply is you start with a coconut. You don't throw the coconut at the monkey. That's not how this works. No monkeys are harmed in catching of monkeys, by the way. So you start with a coconut, you attach it to a tree through like a chain or a rope so that it's attached. You can't get the coconut away from the tree. And then you cut a hole in the coconut the size of the hand of a monkey, right? So they can put their hand inside the coconut. So once they get their hand inside the coconut, you put something inside. You hollow out the coconut and you put something in the coconut that the monkey wants to hold on to. They want, right? And the moment they reach inside and grab the item, now their hand is bigger than the hole. They can't get their hand back out because they're holding the item that they want, right? So technically, if they just open their hand and let go, they're free. But they won't because they want the thing in the coconut. So now you got a bunch of trapped monkeys attached to trees all over the place. And they're just so connected to that item that they want to hold on to it. They won't let go, right? And they're trapped. Yet all they have to do is simply let go of that item and they're free. And the idea was, bringing it around, was whatever you're trapped by might just simply be the fact that you need to let go. And you're actually free this whole time. So don't be a trapped monkey. What is it? What are you holding on to? People's opinions of you, your ego. What are you holding on to? And if you just let go of it, you're actually free, right? So that it's like, oh, wait a minute. So now I know how to catch a monkey, and now I know how to get free of whatever it is that is holding me back, right? And in those moments, you're like, oh, wait. And now people will be thinking about, now people listening to this will be like, wait, what am I holding on to? What am I holding on to that's keeping me from starting my podcast or whatever that is, right? Writing a book. Ah, right? I'm not going to be a trapped monkey, Michael. I'm not going to do it, right? So anyway, stories, right? They sit with you.
They do. And this is one reason that I'll often ask my guests after they talk about some experience. Okay, so for those of us who are just starting out or don't know how to do the thing, or scared to get started, how can we get started?
Yeah.
Because then that helps us start moving. It's not just, okay, I understand what you did, and that brings me into your experience and your experience into me. And still, what do I do now? Let's get some practical, concrete steps in here to help me now. Let's get started.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. So talk more about how you have improved and grown over this many episodes. I'm sure if you listen back to your first few episodes, you're like, okay, I got better. I got better over time. What kind of areas are you seeing improvement for yourself as a host on your show?
One thing I'm working on is having a solid interplay.
Yeah.
And not just be you talking and then that leads me to another question, even though the questions are coming out of the conversation, to have it be a deep conversation and not more of a just interview back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot more comfortable with who I am and on camera in that context than I was when I started.
Yeah. It takes time, right? I think the one thing too is to find our voice as a podcaster. Like not many of us have gone to school to learn how to do all this. We've just started a show and practiced and got better. We've made mistakes and then figured them out and got better the next time, right? I listen back to my early episodes and go, wow, I did not know what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing at all. But now I feel a little more confident. But I think if you and I, Michael, can just do like 1% better every time, over time, you're just going to get better and better and better. You build on your successes, right? And if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. Hey, we're all humans, right?
And one of the wonderful things is everything is a success.
Good one. I like that.
If you fell on your face, then you fell on your face well.
Do it with style. Yeah. Make people remember it.
And even if you think that you fell on your face completely awkwardly and obnoxiously, great. You did it fully obnoxiously. Fantastic.
Yeah. Smart. I like that. That's good. What are you doing as far as your onboarding of your guests to come on your show? Like, are you doing a pre-chat with your guests that's the day of the recording or on a different day? How do you do the mechanics behind your show?
I always do a pre-meet. I learned this on episode 3, where the first 2 were with people that I had already known.
Okay.
And so we could just go in and do it, and it was fun. Then the third one was a recommendation from one of the first 2, who I'd never heard of before. We went straight into the chit-chat before the recording, and that was really awkward.
Okay.
Here's a person I've never met before, and we've got 2 minutes to go over
make a
what
friendship
questions
happen.
you have before we get started, and then go into the recording. So after that, I always do a pre-meet. And it's usually well ahead of the recording.
Okay.
There have been 1 or 2 people who were super busy and scheduling was done by their assistant or someone. And then I just gave links and said, we can schedule, if it's going to work better, we can do the pre-meet and then go into the episode, and we'll just have basically 2 hours blocked instead of an hour 15.
Yeah.
And that's way better, because it lets us ask each other questions. If It lets us both decide, no, this isn't a good fit, which has happened once or twice, and lets us have some time to then let that pre-meet marinate so that when we come into the recording,
Yeah.
we have a deeper base for that conversation.
I find not having a pre-meet puts more weight on me as the host to make the conversation happen. Okay, because like you said, you meet them and 2 minutes later you hit record. It feels very surface level conversation. We don't go deep. We kind of just do the easy questions like, tell me about your book. Tell me about your business. How'd you get started? And, it's like, I want to get to know the person. I want there to be some form of chemistry, right, between me and the person that's in front of me on my show. Because the audience can pick up on chemistry. They can pick up on when there's no chemistry. Because I've listened to some shows and they're just like, question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, and where do we find your website? And I'm like, and it doesn't even sound like the host is even listening to the guest, right? They'll ask a question and then they just go to the next question. They don't even acknowledge the answer. And I tell people this on my author podcast. That's why I do my pre-chats is I listen to a podcast and the host, I don't know if it was they're early in their journey as a podcast, but they asked a question of the guest answered the question, and then said something at the end like, oh, and that also was the day I almost died when my car went off a cliff. And the host didn't even acknowledge that anything they just said and went, question number 2, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. As a listener, I'm like, wait. They almost went off a cliff? And like, can we go back for a second? Can we rewind? And I wanted to jump in and go, can I help you as a listener? Because I want to know about that. That was a great setup for a follow-up question. Didn't even acknowledge that the person even spoke. And I'm like, so for me, I want to be an active listener. And I found for me, being a listener is the one thing that's really developed over time, is listening to my guest, acknowledging them. And when they give me something that gives me an opportunity to ask a second question, right? I might have a list of questions, but when you say something that makes me go, can we talk about that? Because I'm interested in that. Because my audience is interested in that, right? So I want to be a representation of my audience. So, right. And if you're new to podcasting, this might seem hard to do, but maybe it's something you can develop over time, is make sure that you're listening to the person talking to you, right? You're not preoccupied. I'm not on my phone right now as I'm talking to Michael. I'm not playing with my computer. I'm focused on Michael, on my show, right? So those are some of the things I encourage podcasters to be aware of and develop over time, right?
Absolutely. And it helps you to understand for yourself in this context, how much structure do you prefer and how much spontaneity? So I know for myself and pretty much everything, I like a nice solid base of structure that then I can improvise from.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I moved from you choose one of these 5 questions to these are the 4 questions we always use is that first wasn't enough structure for me to be comfortable improvising from.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to guide the episodes into the really good stuff.
Yeah.
And these 4 questions enabled me to do that much better.
Right. Yeah.
There are some people having any questions would be way too much structure. And know that for yourself.
Right.
But then also keep in mind that your guest may have a different purpose than you are.
True.
And even if you are super spontaneous, your guest may be super structured. I've had multiple guests tell me they really appreciate knowing those 4 questions ahead of time. Because a lot of podcasts that go on, they don't know anything about what's going to be talked about at all, let alone any specific questions.
I'm doing that to you in real time, Michael. I'm doing that to you right now.
Going on a podcast, there's going to be some of that.
Yeah.
And you and I talked ahead of time, so I have some idea of what the questions are going to be like. You're probably not going to be asking what my favorite favorite flavor of pastrami is.
Now I'm curious. Yeah. No, you're right. And I think the one thing too, then, if you kind of go kind of off script without giving your questions in advance, you as the host need to create a safe place for your guest, right? Your guest has to feel safe and secure that you know where you're going, that this isn't just some rambling conversation, but there's a point to what we're doing here. And they feel like you're leading the conversation, right? Because again, going without a net, not having the questions ahead of time, I've had people ask me that all the time for my show. I'm kind of more the person who likes to make up the questions in real time because I like to follow my curiosity as it happens. But I've had to then also reel it back and go, for the sake of my guest, I need to be more calculated, give them the questions in advance so that they feel more comfortable. So that's the beautiful thing about podcasting. There's no rules, right? We can do it all the way we want to do it. But again, I like your point, Michael, that sometimes the guest needs something of you that you might not normally do on your show. You need to be able to adjust to your guest as well.
Yes, and so I put a lot of structure around my guests. We have the pre-meet. I send them an email that's like this long with super detailed logistics, including those 4 questions. And when we come in to record, I double check that this is still a good time, that the time we had scheduled still works. Do they have a hard stop at the end of that? Do they have any other questions? What's the right way to pronounce their name?
Smart.
I generally do this even with obvious things like Dave Campbell, because maybe it's not Dave Campbell. Maybe it's Dave Campbell.
Campbell or something, yeah.
Yeah. And my guests appreciate this. Or it's just too much and they don't care. I've not had anyone say, this is too much structure for me, Michael. I'm not going to come on after all.
Right. Yeah.
For people who that's too much structure, they can just ignore it. For people who that's not enough structure, there's probably more structure I could put around that. I haven't had that feedback from people yet, so I don't know what more structure might be helpful. And for people who are in between, then it's useful guide and they can ignore all the details that are too much detail.
No, it's good. Again, I was listening to some of your older episodes. I think it was your first episode. I'm trying to remember. You started and you said, hi. And I know where you were going. I know you were going to do your intro. But your guest went, hi. And you're like, there's this little pause for a second. And I'm like, oh, poor Michael. I know exactly what's happening right now because I did the same thing. And I'm like, you're like waiting. You want the guest to be quiet for a second while you do the intro, and then you're going to have them talk. But it was the beautiful moment. And then your guest acknowledged it. You both laughed and you went on from there. And I'm like, I'm glad, Michael, you left that in there because that just shows that can happen, right? It didn't get you flustered. You didn't lose your train of thought. You just kept going. And I'm like, oh, I was cheering you on. I'm like, I love that you left that in there. That was so cool. So anyways, well done.
I was super flustered. I didn't know what else to do but keep going. So that's what I did.
It didn't show on the mic, just so you know. I didn't hear it in your voice. You seemed so professional. You just kept going. But it was such a cool moment. And I thought that was really good. Yeah, well done.
Almost like that happen all the time. And I take those more in stride. What the hardest thing for me still is when I don't know where to go for the next question or how to connect where we are to what I know the next question is.
Right.
And so there's sometimes, you talked about earlier about acknowledging the responses, that I don't know how to do that fast enough.
Okay.
And sitting here with dead air.
Do you find your guest
figure out what to say?
Do you find your guest starts to squirm a little? Yeah.
I don't know how, and I don't imagine it feels comfortable for most of my guests. So sometimes I don't try to connect things. And I had one guest tell me afterwards that I didn't always need to connect things. It was fine just to go on to something completely different. Yeah. That actually gave me a lot more confidence.
Nice.
That they gave me permission to now, I didn't always have to make everything connect through perfectly. And I can
Right.
go from talking about pastrami to now we're planting a garden
Yeah.
or paving a road, something
Yeah.
completely different.
Which makes you more comfortable on the mic as a host as well then.
It's way easier for me,
Yeah.
which has got to then be more comfortable for them,
Right.
even if sometimes they get whiplash.
Yeah. Yeah. Topic A, topic B. Topic A, topic C. Yeah. That happens, right? But that's fine. I think that was wise words from your guest. That was encouraging to hear that, I bet.
It was. I appreciated that feedback. It's
Yeah.
a lot of people would just let it go and say, well, Michael doesn't know what he's doing, or I don't want Michael to feel bad, and because he'll then think that I think he's a bad host or whatever.
Right.
And I would way rather have the feedback because then I can do something about it.
Yeah.
Even if that's deciding not to do anything with it, at least then I have the option.
Right.
If you don't tell me I have spinach in my teeth, I can't decide whether I care.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's wise. I think as hosts, we have to kind of find our own lane. You know, I can't be like so-and-so can't be like me. I have to be who I am. And people, we hear this a lot, Michael. People come to our show, maybe because of a guest you've had on, but then they hear the podcast. They're like, I like Michael. I like how he does his podcast. I like how he shows up and how he talks on the mic. Michael's my podcaster. And you can bring anyone on your show. I listen to anyone you bring on because I trust you, right? And you earn trust over time with your audience. So they'll come for your guest, they'll stay for you. So that's the thing. A lot of podcasters, we want everyone to stay for us. But sometimes people don't resonate with us. Some people listen to me and they're like, no. But that's okay. Because there's a bunch of other shows that talk about podcasting. That's fine. I want everyone to stay. That makes me feel happy. But I do realize that some people aren't going to resonate with me in my approach. And maybe they're going to like someone else's approach better. So we just got to be okay with that. We're not everybody's favorite podcaster. And that's okay.
Yes. One thing I say all the time is whoever you are, the world is clamoring to have you in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say the world, I don't mean all 18 billion or however many there are of us. I mean the much smaller number of the people who are your people.
Right.
And that's both freeing in, like, oh my gosh, there are people who want me there. That feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also can be pretty scary because that means if I don't do this podcast or write the book or whatever the thing is that is my way to interact with them, I'm actually not letting them have the joy they want me to get from spending time with me.
Right.
That can feel like a big obligation.
Yeah.
And it is to ourselves and to them. But it doesn't have to be an onerous thing. It can still be full of play. It's like my dog would love to play all day. And when I don't play with her, I'm not letting her have that joy of playing with me. It's still my decision of when I play with her and when I don't. And when I get to have the fun myself that I get from playing with her. And she knows that the play is going to come and that she can come and ask for it. And a lot of times, or some of the time, I can give it then, and sometimes I won't. And it's the same with each other. It's not that just because you and I are having a great conversation now, you and I have to have a great conversation every minute for the rest of our lives with each other.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
But it does mean that you and I can look at what's bringing us joy in this conversation. And if a significant part of that is that it's you and me, well, let's do this again.
Yeah.
And whatever other things are in there, there's other ways to get that are going to fit for you in other parts of your life.
Yeah, that's wise. I like that. Again, you used a story, Michael, with the dog. Well done. See? Now that's going to sit with people. I like that. And we said sit, which what dogs do. So there we go. That all works. I like it. Michael, I could talk to you all day, like you said. But I know you have other things to do as well. You got another 100 episodes to create for your show. Let's send people to your podcast. I know we're going to have time together coming up on Living the Next Chapter, my author podcast, to talk about your author journey and all that as well. So I'm excited to have you over on that show so people can listen there as well. But let's talk again about your podcast. Where do you want to send everyone? And is there a good episode maybe to start with for a brand new listener? Where would you send a new listener to your show?
My website is uncommonteams, teams.com. Yeah, all my episodes are there. I'm also on YouTube at Uncommon Leadership Podcast. And I would either start with the most recent one.
Okay.
That's going to be the best Michael has hosted so far. Or pick some random one that the guest sounds interesting, or you really like the thumbnail, or you just use a random number generator to say, give me one.
Yeah.
I've had on everyone from chief technology officers, people and heads of engineering that you would expect, to sales and marketing professionals, to DEI consultants. It's just I just had a CEO of a business networking company.
Okay.
Broadly diverse. So if you're not big on tech stuff, we don't really ever get into the techie things. This isn't a coding podcast or how to design. This is all about leadership, and it's really about how to lead yourself and then how to bring that into helping those around you do the same for themselves.
Excellent. We'll have links for everyone. And again, reminder, go check out the artwork for Michael's podcast. It's cool. It's unique. And there's not a lot of unique things in podcasting today. Everyone's kind of copying each other. So when I see your show, Michael, I just think it stands out, which is good. That's what you want. You want your show to stand out against all of the other podcasts. But I love what you do.
Okay.
I love your guests. I love how you do your show. And the fact that you have time to come and share your journey with us. I think it's great. So encouraging everyone, go subscribe, follow, share, do all the things for Michael on his show, and reach out to him. Let him know you're listening as well. I know he'd love to hear from you.
I definitely would. And right back at you, Dave. There are reasons I'm on your How to Podcast show and not any of the others.
Yay! Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you're here, Michael. Again, thank you so much, my friend. We'll have you back for Living the Next Chapter, and we'll keep talking. I like having you here.
Sounds great. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Dave.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast all the way through to the end. I love having these great guest co-hosts on the show to share their podcast with you. You have some homework to do. Now, what I'm asking of you is to go check out our featured guest co-host today. Go over and listen to their podcast. The links are always in the show notes. And I'd love for you to go and give them your love and support. And I think if we can all do that for each other, podcasting will be a lot more fun for all of us. So it's time to do what you've asked others to do for you. It's time to do for this guest co-host. Links in the show notes. Go over and check out their show and leave them a review, do the follow, go listen to their episodes in full, the entirety of an episode, which again shows to the apps that it's a good podcast, because you're going there and you're staying to the end. It's probably one of the best ways you can help a podcaster grow their audience and be shown to more people is by simply going and listening wherever you listen to the very end, like you're doing right now here. This is the perfect way to signal to wherever you're listening on, this is a podcast worth promoting. And all of the apps want you to stay on as long as possible. So go over and listen to our guest co-host episode and leave them some feedback. If they have a buy me a coffee, send them a coffee. If they have a speak pipe, send them a voice message. If they have an email, send them an email. If they're on Instagram, send them a direct message. Do something to support our guest co-hosts. They've given up their time to be here with you, to be here with me, and we can give that back to them with time and attention, our love, our support. Thank you for doing all that for me as well. You're on the How to Podcast series. We'll talk to you soon for our next episode. Hey, it's Dave. Yeah, I'm back. Hey, you're still here, so that's great. I got one question that came into the podcast. Thought I'd share with you. You're still here, so you get this, nobody else. The question is, should I have the name of my guest in the episode title for the episode? Yes or no? Because the person that reached out to me said, I'm hearing gurus tell me I should never have the guest name in the episode title, and it seems weird to not put their name. And I would agree with you. That seems pretty strange. An example for you, extreme example, would be Joe Rogan. All he has is the name of the guest. He has no title for the episode. Talk about phoning it in. So it'll just be Theo Vaughn. That's the name of the episode. Like Barack Obama. That's it. That's it. That's all they have for the title of the episode. I think you could do better than that. And Joe does what Joe does. I like having the name of the guest in the title for this reason. The guest is more apt to share their podcast episode with their name on it. The whole episode for my Living the Next Chapter podcast, my author podcast, 700 plus episodes, of which is every episode is for my guest. That show is not about me. That show has nothing to do with me because I'm not an author. I'm just the host of the show interviewing authors. So every episode is about my guest. I want my guest to share the episode. I want my guest to find search friendliness in my podcast so that they can grow and sell more books. Without having their name, without having the name of their book in the title of the episode, it does them very little as a guest. I want my guest to get every ounce of SEO goodness, search engine optimization, every ounce of SEO goodness out of their episode. And they're more apt to share it with their friends, their family, their community by having their name in there. I tell my guests, before you come on my show, do a Google search. After your show goes live, do the same Google search. You will see you're in more places by being on a podcast than if you're not. And I want them to see the impact. They're not going to see the impact if I give some generic name to the episode, exclude the guest name. I just think that is really bad advice for the most part. Now, you might have a show where you are also an expert interviewing other experts. Okay, well then maybe that might not work for you to have the name of your guests. Okay, that's fine. Again, remember, podcasting, there's no rules. There's a lot of people who are very opinionated, but I go against many of the guru suggestions for podcasts, and my show works. Despite what they say, my show continues to produce and continues to grow and continues to do all the great things that podcasts should do. So, your choice. Dealer's choice. Whatever you want to do, you do. But for me, for my Living the Next Chapter podcast, for all of my guest podcasts, for all of the different shows I do, I always put the name of my guest into the title. It's what I do. And I haven't found any pushback or any negative results by doing so. So again, you can do whatever you like, but I do want to honor my guests. So if you come on my show, your name is in the title of the podcast because it's about you. And I think that's a good thing. So you pick, listen to whoever you want to listen to, but I want to lovingly counterbalance all of those gurus who tell you you should never, ever put the name of your guest in the episode. I think they're leading you down the wrong path. And I think they're making a rule out of a suggestion. And there's no rules. You do you. And again, guest names in my episodes, I don't see a problem with it. but you can decide for yourself. If you have any questions, reach out anytime. Thanks for being here. Take care. If you want to be a guest on this show, your name will be in the episode. Reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Take care. Bye.